Friends, today we're going to look at a poem from the 10th century, or at least written down in the 10th century by monks, and it's an Anglo Saxon poem called The Wife's Lament, or the sad song from the wife, basically. So it's a breakup poem. Here goes. I make the song about me full sadly, my own wayfaring. I, a woman, tell what griefs I've had since I grew up, new or old, never more than now. Ever I know the dark of my exile. First my Lord went out away from his people over the wave tumult. I grieved each dawn, wondered where my Lord, my first on earth, might be. Then I went forth, a friendless exile, to seek service in my sorrow's need. My man's kinsmen began to plot by darkened thought to divide us two, so we most widely in the world's kingdom live wretchedly. And I suffered longing. My Lord commanded me to move my dwelling here. I had few loved ones in this land or faithful friends. For this my heart grieves, that I should find the man well matched to me, heart of fortune, mournful of mind, hiding his mood, thinking of murder. Blithe was our bearing. Often we vowed that death alone would part us two, naught else. But this is turned around now, as if it never were our friendship. I must far and near bear the anger of my beloved. The man sent me out to live in the woods under an oak tree in this den of earth, ancient this earth hall. I'm all longing. The valleys are dark, the hills high, the yard overgrown, bitter with briars, a joyless dwelling. Full oft the lack of my Lord seizes me cruelly here. Friends there are on earth, living beloved, lying in bed, while I at dawn am walking alone under the oak tree through these earth halls. There I may sit the summer-long day, there I can weep over my exile, my many hardships. Hence I may not rest from the care of heart which belongs to me ever, nor all this longing that has caught me in this life. May this young man be sad-minded always, hard in his heart's thought, while he must wear a blithe bearing with care in the breast, a crowd of sorrows. May on himself depend all his world's joy. Be he outlawed far in a strange folkland, that my beloved sits under a rock cliff rimmed with frost, a lord dreary in spirit, drenched with water in a ruined hall. My Lord endures much care of mind. He remembers too often a happier dwelling. Woe be to them that for a loved one must wait in longing. So, here's what happened. Somebody done messed up my girl's love life. And that is why she's making choices like this hat. Yeah. So, let's look over this again. And this is Ann Stanford translation again of The Wife's Lament. It would have been written in basically Old English, probably passed down by Scots in the mead hall or storyteller entertainers who have told what was up, and then written down by monks around the 10th century at least. So, the Anglo Saxons and Jutes were tribes that sort of came in and settled in what's in Britain after the Romans left. So the Romans occupied Britain early, 400 years or 500 years, went back to Rome, and then these pagan tribes hung out for several hundred years. Viking raiders came in. So in my video here, she has stolen a Viking raider's hat because they had a little more swag factor than her Anglo Saxon clothing. And this is anachronistic because a real Viking helmet probably did not have these horns. That's probably inspired by Scandinavian art in the last few hundred years. But anyway, still pretty fun, right? I might start wearing this everywhere. Well, so here's what happened to her. It's hard to know the exact details of the story because it's a little ambiguous. Basically, her man left, and his family plotted to divide them. So somebody was talking some trash. I don't know what she did wrong. Maybe she brought the wrong casserole to the family reunion, like here in the South. I don't know what happened, but they messed them up. And so she ended up having to live in this cave under an oak tree somewhere, and I don't think she likes the landscaping too much. She's kind of really throwing some shade on the weeds in the yard and everything. She does not like it. So according to one source, she could have been in some sort of pagan sanctuary, like a cave in the bottom of a mountain or something. That sounds kind of cool. But she's all lonesome. Exile is a pretty typical theme or concern for Anglo Saxons in the Exeter Book. There's a couple other poems, the Wayfarer, the Seafarer, the Wanderer, So in those sorts of things, their male protagonists are expressing dismay over being separated from the crowd, from the mead hall, or the little group of people that was so important to their existence and survival. Anyway, so Anglo Saxon work is early, Old English, and they use a lot of things called kennings. So that was just an artistic way of renaming something. So instead of ocean, they may say wave tumult, or instead of king, it might be a ring giver, like in Beowulf. Let's see, or a whale road could be an ocean, things like that. So she's really, really sad. It sounds like she's a little bit bitter or angry too when she talks about, what's happened to her and how she has to be alone, and where is he and what is he thinking, and how could this have gone down like this? A lot of alliteration in this translation, faithful friends, or bitter with briars. That's consistent with Anglo-Saxon art and literature, joyless dwelling has a little bit of ass in it, so that sound. So that was also pretty typical. But yeah, I feel sorry for her. And there's been a lot of speculation about what might have been the context of this poem. So some scholars have even said, oh, well, it could just be an allegory for Christ and the church. So Britain became more Christianized. There probably was some of that with the Roman occupation, but became more Christianized with St. Augustine and conversions later on. So the monks that wrote all these things down probably provided a lot of Christian context, and maybe not so much quite before that. But or there's a little bit of mix of Christian and pagan elements in some of their stuff, or their value systems, like a mix of that in Beowulf too, which we'll maybe look at another day. So when she says Blythe was our burial, she means we were really happy, and then something just went terribly wrong. So she didn't get the house, she got the cave, and she does not have to put up with her in-laws anymore, but she does have to deal with her feelings. So this would be probably a pretty good episode of Terry Springer. But anyway, it does end with a sympathetic note, I'm all longing. So no matter how angry or sad or lonesome she is, she's definitely just feeling the longing. So there's that first breakup poem, or an early breakup poem in Old English. So hope you enjoy, and hope you read some more Anglo-Saxon works. Thanks.